I play some weird games when I'm sick, but also some of my favorite games that I've beaten have been during times when I'm sick. And so, yeah, I did not get over this flu bug as I thought I was going to. So for our Chill Friday video, I figured I want to talk about the best games that I've played while being sick. Any of you remember growing up? Being sick, like, it wasn't super fun, but getting to miss school was amazing. Getting to rest. Dude, I remember, like, playing Game Boy in bed or GBA. That was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That's like a dream day, getting to stay home. If, you felt 100%, it'd be a little bit better. But more recently, I remember 2019, I got really sick for like a week and a half. It's like a brutal flu bug, and this is before all the 2020 stuff that happened, And then I wanted to play through Metroid Prime. I'd never played through the whole thing. When I was a kid, I had a GameCube, and I remember getting Metroid Prime, and that game scared me so much as a kid. I thought it was really, really cool, but I probably only got as far as Phendrana Drifts. That's like the snow place in the game, and it's a pretty early location that you visit. And I never really got further because, yeah, that game required some pretty clever puzzling and a lot of backtracking and some cool routing. Now, playing through it as an adult, it's a lot simpler, but it still, like, sticks with me to this day. The atmosphere of that game, unmatched. And so in 2019, on my Wii U, get another chance to bring up my Wii U here, I got the... What is the collection called? I don't even remember, but basically they brought it to the Wii, and you could play through the whole thing with motion controls. And it was incredible. And somehow being sick, being congested, my head underwater, similar to how I am right now, it just like intensified everything about the experience. I say non-linear, it's a pretty linear adventure in terms of the route that you need to take, unless you know like speedrun tricks. You can totally break the sequence of the game if you know some of the tricks, but you can pretty much go anywhere from the start. And of course, in Metroidvania fashion, as you unlock more abilities, you get to explore more of the map. And it's such a rewarding game because as you play through, you grow in power, and as you grow in power and utility, more of the world opens up, and areas that you visited 10 times over now have different secret pathways and things that you can do in that area that you couldn't see before. On top of it all, this game has phenomenal music and sound design, and I'm throwing up the Wii footage here so you can see. This was a gorgeous game on the GameCube. It's pretty wild. If you look back, quite a few GameCube games have aged really, really well. Now, if you haven't played this game yet, the version on Switch is really good. The HD remaster. I highly recommend it. If you have a Switch, this is one to play before Prime 4 arrives. It still holds up. It is still one of the best games ever. I would say if you're impatient, doesn't hurt if you get stuck to look at a guide. There is a lot of backtracking with the game. Unfortunately, Metroid is never sold in the quantity that I think it deserves. Now, it was a strong selling game on the GameCube at like almost 3 million copies, and it is one of the highest rated games of all time. I think over on Metacritic, it's 97, and it won a bunch of Game of the Year awards. This is 2002. What a time. Halo CE. Metroid Prime. Gosh, it was just amazing. Now, if you don't have a Switch, Prime Hack is a really cool way to play the game. And I've got a full video or 2 videos talking about that, where you can play it on PC with an HD texture pack, and it even supports mouse and keyboard controls. Super great way to play the game as well. Now, speaking of being sick, when Metroid Dread came out, I got sick for like a month. It was brutal. It was the worst I think I've ever been sick it crushed me. And I remember I got Metroid Dread. I was so excited because really the only Metroid game I played was Prime up until that point. Hadn't really touched the 2D Metroids all that much. A little bit of Fusion. But Dread is one of those games that I respect, but I have a hard time going back and playing. I don't even know if I have footage of Dread. I probably don't. So you're probably still watching Prime when I'm editing this video. The game was sort of spooky and scary, and I was just so sick that it just didn't match. It was like too stressful and challenging of a game while I was sick. So sometimes being sick, you got to be careful. Picking a chill game is important, right? You want to get over your sickness. And what I've done over the last, week and a half during this sickness, picking again sort of a weird game with funky atmosphere, was Majora's Mask. And I'll talk more about that on the channel. I want to edit like a really big video, because that game was pretty pivotal, like a very important game when I was growing up. And I just beat it for the first time casually. And it was great. It's beautiful. It's haunting. It's super strange. I'm glad it exists. There's also a ton of great ways to play it. I didn't mention the Ship of Harkinian. It's the source code decompilation of Ocarina of Time, where you can play a native PC port of the game as long as you possess a legally owned version of the ROM. And it's insane. You get widescreen support. You get unlocked frame rate, or up to like 300 some odd frames. It plays phenomenal. And with Majora's Mask, they put 2 Ship, 2 Harkinian out, which is great. Props to the titling there. It was such a killer way to play the game. I did just get a CRT TV, like an old, tiny screen. Has to be like 10 inches. It's tiny. And hooked up my N64 to it, and that plays beautifully. But I'll talk more about it. I would love to hear from you. What are some games that you have played while being sick that you remember that are good recommendations? I don't know. I thought it was just a fun time to talk about Prime again and not complain. I had originally put together a video. Okay, weird stat. This is a side tangent. Did you know that it's only 5 to 20% of players that purchase microtransactions? Investopedia put that stat out, and it blew me away. So while 80% of us are all like, hey, live service FOMO drip stinks, this is like totally not the way, it's only like 5 to 20% of the entire scene who is powering it. That means that 5 to 20% are paying so much that it's keeping the whole live service thing afloat. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, that was the video I was going to do, but I figured the modern live service gaming commentary thread has been beaten to death, so I'd rather talk about cool games that are fun. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope on Monday I come back and I'm not as sick, and that you all just have a really nice few days. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Again, thanks for 200K, and we'll see you again on Monday.